Before this video gets started, I need to give some context. Back on November 1st, 2022, I uploaded this video to my old channel. This video was then privated and re-uploaded to this channel, and as of this video being released, has been unlisted. You can find a link to it in the description if you want to watch it. However, the video you are about to see here is what I consider to be the definitive version of this video. The first section will be more or less the same script as before, as I don't want to change the perceptions of my feelings at the time. You can consider this section a remaster of sorts. And after that, we'll get into a short section on some of my current thoughts. Oh, and of course, this video contains spoilers for Elden Ring and Shadow of the Erd Tree. But this section has gone on for too long already, so enjoy the video. At the start of this year, a game released by the name of Elden Ring, and I did not care in the slightest. As far as I knew, it was just a pretty looking rage game, and that kind of thing just didn't interest me at all. Lo and behold, 9 months later, a friend of mine starts telling me that I need to play this game, and eventually he wore me down, and 3 playthroughs and every achievement later, here we are. Elden Ring will go down as one of my favourite games of all time, but how does any of this relate to Skyrim? Sure, they're both games that I like, but deeper than that? Well, we'll come back to that later, because first I want to get into something nothing like Skyrim at all: the combat. Imagine your favourite first-person shooter. How good the gunplay feels, how satisfying it is to make that headshot, how the sounds of weapons make them feel impactful and weighty. The kind of thing that just feels good to play, and it's a feeling that really grabs a lot of people and pulls them back into games time and time again. And Elden Ring does that exact same thing with its combat. It just feels good to play. The light weapons feel nimble, the heavy weapons feel weighty. You get that neuron activation in your brain every time you perfectly time a dodge or a parry. It's just such a satisfying experience, and I have never experienced a game with melee combat as good as it is here. But, of course, there's more to gameplay than just combat. Exploration is a huge part of this game, and the world is gigantic. The more you play, the more the map expands, and every time you think that must be it, but then nope, there's another area to unlock. And more importantly, the world is full of things to do. This isn't a Ubisoft game shoved full of the same bandit camps 700 times. There's actual variety and unique enemies and items and spells and weapons and summons and bosses and environments. And it does not hold back on the environments. The first reveal of the starting area, that leaving the vault, escaping prison feel you get, is on full display here as you look over Limgrave for the first time and see the Erd Tree in the distance. It is a tough thing to nail, and FromSoft manages to do it like 6 or 7 times in the same game. Seeing Leyndell for the first time absolutely blew me away, and almost every time you get one of these reveals, you can see your end goal of the area from where you start. It is incredible level design that FromSoft just seems to be absolutely unbeaten on. The scale of this game and the environments and the bosses is insane. And speaking of the bosses, holy shit, they are cool. Except for these 2 fuckers. Okay, fine, they're cool too, but they can go drown in the Scarlet Rot Lake for all I care. Now, I could talk about the bosses in this game, the design of them, all day, but I just want to talk about my personal favorite. And I'll shove another spoiler warning here for good measure, because he is a major one. But it is Malekith the Black Blade. He is an absolute nightmare to fight, but I love him. His design, his lore, the build-up to it, the cutscene, it is just so insanely cool. He is the only boss that on subsequent runs still intimidates me, despite the fact that I've beaten him first try multiple times. He's just that cool. And, of course, part of that is just his voice. The voice acting in this game is just all around incredible. The soundtrack as a whole for me isn't quite as memorable, but when it does hit, it is like Will Smith at the Oscars. It's incredible. Name a game with a better main menu track. I dare you. Okay, but that's just unfair. Well, there's not going to be 3. Okay, fine, but it's not like there's another game that blows the entire soundtrack out of the water, right? No? Okay, good. Now... You never see it come back. Okay, but seriously though, the main menu theme for Elden Ring slaps. The Godskin theme is amazing. And then there's this moment.
Upon my name as Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
Gives me chills every time. But now we get into the meat. The reason this game drew me in so much. My favorite thing in any media. World building. And this is where we finally get back to Skyrim. Back in 2011, I had no idea what lore was. I had no idea about anything to do with the Elder Scrolls, but when I started Skyrim, that game drew me in. It felt like there was so much history and everything had so much significance. I wanted to know what the carvings on cave walls meant, the stories of towns and weapons and people, all because of the world building. It felt grounded and real and believable within the universe it was set in. And with the Elder Scrolls having decades of work put into it, I had all the lore in the world to sink my teeth into. So when a new game with a new world comes along, without those decades of lore, and manages to capture that feeling, it is incredibly impressive. And I think for me, the reason it works so well is because now that I'm older, obviously I first played Skyrim a very long time ago, I appreciate abstract storytelling a lot more, and the unanswered questions that get left over that let you interpret things how you want and theorize and the like. And Elden Ring, through everything I've discussed, the music, the gameplay, the bosses, the items, the environments, the storytelling, it gives you just enough to feel satisfying and understand what's happening, while still letting you discover new things, and discover that there are questions that simply can't be answered. And of course, with having multiple endings with different interpretations of what they could mean, it leaves so much to the player's imagination, while still telling a coherent story, and it makes for such an incredible world and such an incredible experience. But let's take a tangible example from each game. Alduin from Skyrim, and of course Malekith from Elden Ring. Alduin on the surface is very simple. Bad Dragon wants to eat the world. And realistically, that's all you need to know. But then you dig deeper and you start thinking, does he really want to eat the world? Is he really Akatosh? Does Akatosh want to kill him? There is so much to delve into there that there are still YouTube channels to this day talking about these things. And then you have Malekith. His entire existence is a mystery to the player at first. He's the second phase of the Beast Clergyman that you met like 40 hours ago that now wants to kill you to stop you unleashing destined death for some reason. But of course, once you defeat him, you can read up on him from his remembrance if you so choose, and you learn he was guarding death for Queen Marika, but that he was betrayed by her, which just raises more questions for you to piece together, and all of this was just from a very brief synopsis of 2 characters. There's an entire world just like it that you get to play through and explore, and I love that. In short, both Skyrim and Elden Ring are games that drew me in through having an incredible world to find out about. A world that the games give you a taste of, but that you know there is more to. Whether that's the grand history of the Elder Scrolls or the abstract mysteries of the lands between. I was drawn in and captivated by the world building these games are so adept at. Elden Ring is a game I never expected to play. It is a game I never expected to like, and yet, it is one of the best games I have ever played, and I urge anyone who may be in the same boat as I was to go and try it out. I haven't even mentioned the build crafting, the magic, the weapon variety, the state changes, how much of a good boy Torrent is, and just so much more. And yes, I will be playing the other FromSoft games in time, but for right now, I am simply happy that I gave this incredible game a chance. Alrighty, fast forward a few years and I have indeed played the other Souls games, as well as Bloodborne, and in doing so, it's revealed that Elden Ring's greatest strength is also its greatest flaw. I mentioned in the previous section that Elden Ring is a game that has a huge open world that still manages to feel like it's full of things to do. And it does. But there's a reason I can now beat this game very comfortably in 6 or 7 hours when the first playthrough took over 100. It has nothing to do with skill. The simple fact is that the open world element of Elden Ring means that once you know where the items you want are, you no longer have to interact with the open world. You dash from point A to point B, grab your items, and then go from one main boss to another until the game's over. And don't get me wrong, this is still fun too. It is still the same game with incredible areas and bosses and combat, but it's a far cry from that first playthrough. A more linear experience, like in the Souls games, means that on replay, you get a much closer experience because you still have to go through the world instead of just ignoring it. But the question is, does that even matter? I think in terms of grading the game, not really. Not for me, at least. This game is still a solid 9 or even a 9.5 out of 10 in my book. That first playthrough was still over 100 hours long, and I've still done a ton of playthroughs with a ton of different builds. And of course, I did the DLC too. But I did eventually stop playing, as you do. And this is where I finally address the background footage. You may have noticed that it's of a randomizer. Whilst not being quite able to capture all of the magic of a first playthrough, this has, in the past few months, been something I've been greatly enjoying. Once again, I have the desire to go into every cave and building to find whatever might be there. I'm excited to go through a fog gate and see what boss is waiting for me. And I love the fact that I can now potentially play through the majority of the game with the DLC weapons without having to be in New Game Plus. It's made me once again see some of what made me fall in love with this game in the first place. It's almost hard to believe that there was a time where I thought that these games were all things that I would have no interest in. Well, except Dark Souls 2. I almost feel bad for Dark Souls 2 because it's such a meme to hate on it, and it genuinely has some really cool ideas, but man, do I just derive no enjoyment whatsoever from playing that game. But anyway, Elden Ring. As much as its flaws have started to show over time, it's still an incredible game, and through the modding community, it's still a game I'm playing today. Huh. Sounds kind of familiar, actually. Hey, it's in the title, I had to fit it into the new section somewhere, but in all seriousness, I love the Elder Scrolls. It's been a huge part of my life, and I hope that whenever it comes out, whatever form it takes, that the Elder Scrolls 6 is able to make me feel even half of what Elden Ring did, and of what Skyrim did before it. But until then, thank you all for watching. Okay, video is over. If that was all you were here for, then thank you for watching and be on your way. But I like doing these little post-video rambles. This video obviously wasn't as huge a project as my last one, as it's shorter and most of the work was done for me by, well, me, so that was nice. As I said at the start, I didn't want to change too much from the original, but I remember even at the time wishing I'd done more with the visuals and whatnot, so here we are, and I could definitely do more content on the Souls series and Elden Ring in the future, but this video in a way was sort of a breather for me because the next video I want to do is on the Mass Effect trilogy, which, even just from thinking of what I want to do, is probably going to be much bigger than the Persona video. So, if you're a fan of the Mass Effect trilogy, then stick around for that one. But I think that's all I have to say this time around, so once again, thank you all for watching, and be sure to comment with any feedback or suggestions, and I will see you in the next one.